Hello and welcome to another episode of FPL Waffle on the channel. We do a brief review of Double Game Week 36. We're mainly going to look ahead to Double Game Week 37 as we near the end of the season. We're very close now to wrapping it all up. And I might even chuck in a little kind of free hit sort of template team as part of this video. So without further ado, let's get into the screen share and we're going to have a look at how many points I got. So I got 82 points this week, which was a small red arrow. I got punished by not having Wilson, particularly. Isak wasn't as punished by, not as punished as I thought I was going to be, actually. My captain Trippier came in tonight against my team Brighton with an overall 22 pointer. So that, to be honest, him, Trent, Salah, and Edison have kind of saved my week because I didn't have Wilson, I didn't have Isak, I didn't have a Stupinan who smashed it against Arsenal. As a Brighton fan, it was like I was so torn when he scored the third goal. I was like, yeah, we've put a third past Arsenal, but oh my days, everyone has a Stupinan and I don't. So yeah, it was one of those moments. Havertz is proving probably what we expected. Why did I want to take a punt on Havertz for for their three fixtures? He was benched against Forest, came off the bench for a one pointer. Happy days. Um, my Newcastle triple defence backfired, unfortunately. I always knew it was a gamble. Unfortunately, Dan Burn was the one that decided to score out of their defensive line. The one I didn't have, one of the guys I watched the football with tonight, if you're watching, you know that this is you, owned a Dan Burn and his team, so well done to you. Good sir. But yeah, not me, unfortunately. But overall, I've had some calamitous weeks recently. So considering Estupinan, Wilson, Bangs, and Isak got a return, um, it's not atrocious. It's not atrocious. So we're going to look ahead really to last couple of game weeks, and as we go into game week 37, um, there's a small double game week, and it's for Chelsea, Man United, Brighton, and City. Now, I think I said last week, most of you at this stage are going to be close to tripled up on each of these teams. Um, so hopefully it's kind of like not a huge set of kind of transfers to really think about. However, there's a few possible sideways moves. There's a few players to target if you haven't tripled up already. There's even just thinking about how your team's going to be left looking for the final game of the season. Like there are some things to think about. Um, and I am going to quickly show you a clip from one of the videos of one of the YouTubers, FPL Focal, who has shared sort of like the highest expected players to get points in this game week. So we got De Gea and Edison leading the goalkeepers, with Steele close behind. So by now, you'd like to think most of you would own one of them. But if you don't, it might not be the worst transfer in the world to bring in. I particularly like De Gea because um, they've got arguably the best double. And then in the final game of the season, they're home to Fulham, which is another good fixture. And he's guaranteed to play all of those games. I'm nervous as an Edison owner because if they wrap up the title, we've already seen him rested this season. Rested. Goalkeepers don't really need rest, do they? But um, Ortega Carson could well come in for a game towards the end of the season. So bit nervous about him. Still, I think there's better Brighton assets to target in the triple up. So I think De Gea is the goalie if you want to do a goalie transfer. As for defenders, as mentioned, unless you're tripled up already, which a lot of you will be, Stupiman's probably the best Brighton defender. Shaw's the best United defender. They're kind of the two best defensive picks this week, to be honest. Beyond that, you're just looking at second fiddle players. Owning Trippier against home to Leicester is not awful. If you need a third defender, obviously Trent against Villa is a cracking choice. So they're the ones you're really looking at this week in defence. There's not loads of options though, to be honest, that you really are going to want. Into midfield, Bruno Fernandes is topping the list. I think he's one of those players you could even consider a sideways move for this week. Um, he's got a nice double. He could well be on pens, although Rashford's back in training, so one of them, if they play, is going to be on the penalties. But if you have both him and Rashford, you're laughing. Fernandes and Rashford. De Bruyne is a bit of a kind of differential punt if you want to have a go at a different midfielder. I like Amara's if you want to go for a cheaper sort of City punt. You think he's going to start at least one of the next two games after the Champions League matches midweek. That Grealish and Bernardo Silva have just played 90 minutes in. Foden's even more of a punt, but I like Mahrez as a player. If Haaland gets subbed off the game, he's on penalties, and little bonus things like that. He loves to shoot. He takes a few set pieces. I like Mahrez as a punt. If you don't have triple up on City and you need a midfield slot, but most of you are going to have a really good midfield at the moment, so it might not be the areas you want to target. If you have Grealish like me, I'm not loving the prospect of Grealish. He's just not smashing the FPL returns, which I always sort of had a feeling he wouldn't. But I kind of got a bit trapped into him when Rashford got injured and I needed to make a move. So anyway, I might be sticking with him this week and just hoping he does something. Otherwise, yeah, Fernandez is tempting, to be honest. Beyond that, McAllister and Matoma are the best Brighton two mids, hands down. And then as for forwards, to be honest, it's Haaland leading the way on the predicted points, 12.1. Beyond that, you're struggling. Martial could be a punt for United, but is he going to start both games? Not necessarily. If you need a Brighton forward, and Cisso's looking quite good for us. Ferguson's minutes are going to be all over the place with Welbeck and that. I mean, so's and Cisso's, to be honest. So you're not really secure of any of these. Wouldn't go near my Havertz at this point. I'm committed, but the two Chelsea fixtures. I mean, the only Chelsea player I'd even remotely consider, I think, is perhaps Sterling after his last two goals, and he's playing his old club City. He might want to prove a point. And then, other than that, Mendy looks like he's just about got his place back in goal, and because of the save points, really, why you'd consider a Mendy. But like I said, De Gea's a lot better choice, I think, if you can go there. So yeah, that's kind of the point. Sort of some of the players to kind of consider this week if you don't have them already. Even Alvarez, I think, for City is a good shout. I'm pretty sure he's going to get at least one start and some decent minutes overall in this game week. So he's another cheap striker if you need another City player to fit in. As for my team, so this is what it's currently looking like. Like I said, Edison, I'm happy enough with the double, but I'm nervous he's going to get rested in a game once they've wrapped up the title. Dunk, I'm just going to have to stick with home to Southampton. Hopefully, he can get a cleaner in that. City would just be a bonus if he gets anything. Trent v Villa, like I said, Trippier against Leicester's okay, but I'm currently thinking of taking him out for a Luke Shaw. For that free transfer, you think two fixtures for Shaw over the one for Trippier. I'd expect Leicester to have a good go at Newcastle because they need to try and avoid relegation. So I'd expect Leicester to maybe nick a goal in that game, wipe the cleaner. Shaw has two chances of a clean sheet. Away to Bournemouth, good chance. Home to Chelsea have been awful, good chance. He's playing left back now with Varane back a bit more often, so could get attacking returns. I think, yeah, I'm quite happy to make a transfer for Shaw. And he's home to Fulham last day, as I mentioned earlier, which is a good fixture to go into for next week. So I think that'll be my probably most likely sort of transfer plan this week. Bit boring, but I've played a lot of rash moves lately, and at this stage, I'm 964k. I was pushing, at the 500k mark for a move, and I've gone the other way, and I want to at this stage I just want to consolidate and try and stay within the top million, to be honest, rather than falling further down from a position where I was, I've had a decent season on the whole, so that's what I want to try and do. I think in the midfield, like I said, Grealish, I'm not loving the idea of. I'd much rather a Bruno Fernandes. I have the option of sort of taking out Grealish for Fernandes, but then I'd have to take sort of a further hit to afford him with someone like Havertz to Alvarez. So it's not probably worth my minus points to do that. So I'm probably just going to stick and be boring. But yeah, in terms of like a free hit team for 37, if I'm sort of talking to you tonight, whether you're on a free hit or not, about your optimal best 11 players, I think this is, to be honest, fairly close to what I go for. I think I'd obviously swap Dunk for a Stupinan, wherever he is, Brighton, Stupinan. And then I guess if you're on a free hit, you could do Salah to De Bruyne, but I think Salah's doing so well at the moment. One fixture for Salah at home isn't a bad shout. Obviously, there's the Edison in goal. Oh, we've already got the United triple up actually, and the City triple up there. So maybe this would be the best free hit team. You've got, I think, the best two single game weekers, Alexander-Arnold and Salah, doing so well at the moment. Liverpool winning 7 on the bounce. They've been a huge part of that. So you have them, and then you've got sort of probably the best triple players from the other teams, City, Brighton, and United, to make up the squad. So I think that would be my free hit team. If you were going to play a free hit this week, perhaps you can, if you can afford it, Tripp's first bench would be the one there. Yeah, I think it looks strong. But most of you are going to have most of these players already, so it's a case of, is it worth taking hits just to get in the few extras? And then do you want your team in game week 38 to look like that with those players? Looking at this, yeah, you probably wouldn't mind it, would you? So it's tempting to get to that sort of team. And then you could take a punt on the final day with a differential player to chuck in if you want to. So yeah, again, go on a tool like FPL.team so you can work out your transfer plans. At the moment, if I stick to my Trippier to Shaw move, my current thinking is take him out. Where is it? Go to Shaw. Don't worry about the exact lineup. If I go to 38, these are the players I'd have. Rashford in at home to Fulham, Botman on the bench. I think I would do Havertz at home to Newcastle to Kane, and to fund that, I will do Grealish down to a 5.1 mid or below. Everton are at home to Bournemouth. They could still be fighting to avoid relegation. If I can still afford Dwight McNeil, by then I go for McNeil. If I can't afford him, I'll probably go for a Iwobi. And then I could chuck him in at home to Bournemouth ahead of Shah. And with Brighton potentially still fighting for Europe, which I'm really hoping we can get sick, we can still do it. I think I'd back us to maybe try and put in a solid display. Worst case, Edison gets a benching. Everton at home to West Ham, potentially still fighting to avoid relegation, isn't the worst fixture. So I'm content with that. And yeah, I think that as a team for my game week 38 team, if I do the just Shaw move in this week, I'd say, yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm pretty happy with that on paper. In terms of who I'd captain, is there a chance Rashford gets a rest? Haaland gets a rest last day away to Brentford. If they've already won the league, which they probably will have done. It's possible, isn't it? Probably not. He's started most of their games. They might want to take a bit of rhythm into the Champions League final, but they want to risk injuring him on the last game when they don't need to? I think I'd captain Salah. They'd still be probably fighting for Champions League. He's doing well away to a relegated Southampton. It could be a goal fest. So that might be where I go a little differential to finish. But yeah, we'll look at that next week to see if I'd go ahead with that plan and maybe talk about some other players that you could target outside of my current plans. So yeah, we'll probably leave it there, won't we? We've looked at the best players for this upcoming game week. We've talked about thinking about future plans. We've looked at my points. We've looked at some of the fixtures. And yeah, there's not much more to say on it. So we'll end the video there. I hope you have a good last couple of game weeks of the season. I think a well-deserved break over the summer is due after all these double game weeks and sweaty planning strategies. Next season, we probably won't have as many doubles, which will be less exciting, but perhaps less things to sort of have to stress about planning. So yeah, all in all, it's been a fun season, and have a good last couple of game weeks. Hope you have a good game week 37. I hope you pick the right doublers, and yeah, catch you on the next one. And yeah, please subscribe if you have even remotely enjoyed this video. It is all appreciated. But thanks for watching if you stayed it till this point. And yeah, see you next time. Au revoir.